Hey guys, welcome back to PLX Outdoors. This is Banksy again, episode 27. The title of this episode is Fishing for Me Has Finally Begun, and I'm sure it's begun already for a lot of you guys. So just want to go through a quick episode about what to get ready, how to prep, and for those guys who are still hunting, soon enough you'll be in the same boat. So just going over a few tips, tricks, and secrets just to get everything ready, and open water is here, so everybody's getting ready to start fishing hardcore. So stick with me and enjoy the episode. First, before I start this episode, just want to give you guys a quick review or summary about what happened on Friday. We went to the river at Oklahoma and to the Grand River, and did pretty good for a slow day. It was pretty windy, about 20-25 miles an hour south wind, but the temperature was pretty warm. It was about mid-60s the whole time, and we caught 4 white bass and 6 spotted bass, a few drumfish, and 1 big buffalo. Missed a few on minnows, but the most of the fish that did bite, we did hook up. So the water is about 42 to 46 degrees. It's still pretty clear, and also some current, but it did die out as soon as it got later in the day, just because they stopped discharging water from the dam. So I'm not marking too many fish. There are a few small pods, but nothing like full-blown springtime. So it's still a little bit early for sure, still pre-spawn. The fish are starting to feed up. They were sitting in about 8 to 12 feet, and we were just slowly dragging jigs. That's how we were able to catch them, and then caught a few on minnows, on a bobber, on a slip bobber, and that was pretty much it. Pretty slow, but still, like I said, we ended up catching about 10, landing 10 in the boat, so not a bad day at all. And so the good bite is just around the corner. We need a little bit of rain to just bring up the water levels a bit and get it a little bit more dirty, and so that the water can warm up a little bit faster with the mud in it. But other than that, the fish are there in the deeper areas, just staging up, and if you can get your lures in front of their face, or if you can find a pod of fish, they will bite. So gonna try to head back a couple more times this week and just to check out the bite. We have a front coming in. It's supposed to start raining around 3 p.m. today, so temperatures are gonna start dropping this week in the mid 40s or so, and hopefully the walleyes should be running pretty good. So gonna go give that a shot, and then also maybe try for some bass. So stick with me, and if I get any good footage, I'll bring it to you guys. Alright, so the first tip for the fishing season, basically you want to run through all your gear, make sure everything's good and ready to go. I know a lot of guys up north are still covered in ice and snow, so they'll have to wait a little bit, but us guys down south and more towards the center of the country, we are already iced out, and some of us don't have ice, so that's great. But basically you'll want to check your electronics, and that means all your graphs, your fish finders, make sure they're working properly. Check your transducers, make sure they're level and not too banged up from the previous year. Check your batteries. If you have lead acid, check your water levels, make sure to fill them up. That way you can maximize your charge and your runtime when you're on the water. For AGM and lithium batteries, just make sure that everything's charging up good and holding their charge. Check your trolling motors, make sure they're all good. Take off the props, and also check for lines in the prop, and make sure there's nothing obstructing it. Check your washers and seals, make sure they're not burnt out, so that way you don't run into any troubles mid-season or later on. Just that way you don't have to cough up more money to fix your boat up. And also make sure to check your dashboard, electronics, your switches, your fuses for your aerators, for your bilge pumps, your nav lights, and any other accessories that you have. Just make sure they're running right, and check all your connections, make sure they're not corroded. If they are, you can just go ahead and clean them with water and baking soda. And then I usually tend to put dielectric grease on all my connections, just so that nothing builds up and nothing breaks, and has a good connection for the rest of the season. Alright, number 2 would be your gear. meaning your rod and reels and your tackle. Basically, you'll just for your rods and reels, you'll want to make sure you clean them and make sure they're well lubricated. Clean all the eyes of your rods, make sure there's nothing obstructing them and no cracks in the guides that will break your line or fray them when you're out there casting and reeling in fish. For your reels, make sure you're using good grease and good oil when you're oiling and lubricating them. I tend not to take everything apart, but I just take off the main bails and the main faces. Take that off, make sure, check everything's not too dirty, and then just oil and grease all the bearings. If they do tend to be overly dirty, then I will take them apart more and break everything down and clean it out. But I've noticed that the past few years I've been keeping rod covers and reel covers on all my rods and reels, so in that way I don't have too much dirt and grime getting into the reels and into the rods. So saves a little bit of work, but also costs a little bit more. The rod sleeves and the reel covers are really good, just protecting your investments, your rod and reels, just to keep everything out, but also when you're transferring them back and forth to your truck or boat, they won't get tangled up and also won't get broken as easily. So just another tip, rod and reel covers are a must for me. You'll see your gear have a longer life if you take care of them and just invest a couple minutes just to cover them and also keep them tidy and keep them out of the sun, but also just be careful when you're handling them, seeing that they're so expensive and we invest a lot of money into our gear. Next, for the guys who have boats, make sure to check your trailers, all your wheel bearings, make sure they're greased up, make sure there's nothing leaking, make sure your caps are on. Check your tires, make sure they're inflated all the way properly. Check your hitch, make sure there's nothing missing or broken. Your plug for the truck and also your lights, make sure everything's working properly. Usually we have a problem with our ground wire going to the trailer, and that tends to make the lights kind of flicker or maybe sometimes not even work at all. And so that's always a good place to start looking. If your lights are not working, is usually the ground wire. So just making sure everything on your boat, your trailer, your truck, all your supplies, gear, everything is ready to go and in tip-top condition, because you don't want to have any problems when you're out there, especially when you're reeling in a big fish. So, and lastly, make sure you get your licenses, especially if you're going to be fishing out of state. I reside in Arkansas, but every year I purchase a Oklahoma license, so just make sure you have your correct licenses, and that way you don't run into any problems with the game wardens when you're out there. And other than that, you're all set to go. So just wanted to give you guys a quick video about what to look for, but also what to get ready for this new 2022 season. Fish are in pre-spawn, full blown, so very soon a lot of those big mamas will be feeding. So just want to say good luck to everyone, and also be safe out there in God's country. Stick with us, and we have more fish catching to do. So thanks guys, we'll see you on the next episode.